Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Today is a short 10-minute video where we are looking at Visual Studio Code. It's a lightweight IDE, so let's get straight into it. I'm gonna head over to the to Google right now. Open up Safari tab here and look for VS Code. It will be the first link that shows up. You just click on that there. It'll download. Well, it detected that I'm using a Mac, so you just click the download button there for that downloader, that installer, or you could go to the documents there, setup, click Mac OS, and then if you're on Mac OS, and then hit the download Visual Studio Code link from there. And this page is pretty good. It has instructions on different ways how to download this IDE, and if you scroll around there, it'll have some other help documents. There's touch bar support, etc., and some useful links into learning your interface a little more. But this video, we're going to just download it really quickly, do the install, and then look at some of these components that they're speaking about on this page here. So I already have Visual Studio Code, and this would be, I guess, a version update for me, so I won't have to do that step of dragging and dropping the executable into my applications folder. So there we go, it's installed and it opened up. And I guess this is just an extension. GitLens is an open source extension for Visual Studio, so there's an extension. We'll look at those as well later on in the video for Visual Studio Code. I do have some recent projects there, and that shows up on your start page for the IDE. So let's go through this interface, and the first thing that I'd want to do is run through the top menu here. If you hit on the code, they have different preferences. You see services there, and you could quit Visual Studio Code. Within preferences, there's settings, online service settings, extension, etc. You could go through this on your own, but the more frequent ones that you'd be looking at is your color theme settings as well. If you go into settings there, you have your text editor and things that you want to change in the IDE in terms of the text editor, the Workbench work. These are your extensions that have been installed. I have Beautify, Bracket Pair, a bunch of useful ones in here. I could do a separate video on them. Let me know if you would like that. You could also change the theme to a light theme if you wanted to. They have different themes. So I'll just switch to a light theme here. And this is blinding, so I'm just gonna switch back to the dark theme. Oops, wrong one. Default dark. And switch back to the dark mode there. It's much easier on the eyes. There's your recent projects. Selection view. Command palette is frequently used as well, and there's a shortcut for it. You use this for different things, like some of the extensions you don't get onto the left bar there, and I'll show you where that is later on. From sometimes you just come straight into the command palette and type in to create a new Flutter project, for example, or select your Python interpreter. They have different ways to do that, but it's really useful so that you don't need to get your hands off of the keyboard sometimes and go onto the mouse and do these things. Like I just created this test.js file just by using the keyboards and the command palette there. Here's your run menu. You could start debugging, etc. Terminal, and we're just going to open up a terminal here. I always have this open. You would always have this open once you're developing in here. You run commands, you want to see which directory you're in. You can run your Python from there. And in your help, you could just search for something that you forgot, if you forgot where it was, and hover over it, and then it'll show you where it is in the menu. On the left bar there, we see there's a search, there's your file explorer, this is your Git version, and this is your debugging, and now your extensions. If you're on extensions, I would have installed a bunch of these guys. To the top there, you see advanced new file. Look for Python, is a pretty popular one. I installed this guy already. It has over 18 million downloads, 4.5 stars. So when you look for extensions, you typically look for things like that, how many downloads the repository or the extension has, just so that you know it's a popular one, and it won't support for it will be there for a long time. And this is the Python one that I went with. You should get that one if you're going to do some Python development. Right now I'm just going to I'm going to edit an HTML and a JavaScript file in Visual Studio Code, just to show you, you could, let me just delete this one I created. Yeah, there you go. So if you have both of them open into the same window, or you could do a vertical split like that, or you could just right click on the file and open a new in a vertical split, or to the side of the original file, so you could view both of them side by side. So here I have the HTML to the right, and then app.js to the left. I already did an npm init on this, so I do have Node installed and running, so I could run a server here, and that'll just allow me to serve up this page and run it as a website on my laptop. So if I command click that link there, it'll open up onto a new web page, and that's what the JavaScript does. It just creates an alert with hello world on there, and then that's the hello world, calling the hello world function. So it does an alert, but it also has a console.log. So if you open up the developer tools in your browser, so Safari has JavaScript, a JavaScript console, you'll see hi from the console in there as well. So the JavaScript ran, and that's how you would typically run and test your website or web pages. And I'm going to use Visual Studio Code now to open up a Python project for you or start a Python project, and I'm using advanced file, I think it's called, extension. And so I created that python test.py file in there, just into the root of this folder. I'm going to create a function just to say hello world. We'll call it def hi, print hello world. We will define the main function right now, def main, and we will call that hi function from the main, and then run the main function. So we'll just run this right now. I'll open up a terminal, make sure I'm in the right directory. You can see that file from where I am. Yep, so Python and then python test.py, and there it works, hello world. Now I want to show you how to do debugging in Visual Studio Code. So we're going to add a name parameter to this hi, and we'll just say hello name. Delete world here and put the name parameter in there. So whichever name is entered, it'll, I'm intentionally leaving out the name parameter there, so the error. All right, so let's hover over it and we'll see what's going on here. So no value or argument name, so it needs a name parameter now that we've changed that function. So let's put something in there. I'll just put current in there. Let's close this again. Save that, and we'll create a breakpoint so that we could. That's what you do in debugging, right? So when you run it, it'll stop at that point. So you could inspect the code. You could inspect the values, and if I hover over the name parameter, you'll see current in there. And to the left, the variables, the local variable shows up as well. Name :current, and then I'll just hit next to continue through and you'll see it print the name out into the terminal window there, hello kern. And that's how you debug your Python script in a very simple way. So I hope you like this video. Good job. You guys have downloaded and installed VSC, reviewed the interface and wrote some code. I might do some another video on some useful extensions for VS Code. Let me know if you want that, and I'll definitely do a video on the PyCharm IDE, so look out for that one. Stick with the channel and learn about concepts in development, coding, GS, and much more. Please comment below if you have any suggestions for the content or recommendations. I'd love to hear them. Hit that like button, and if you like what you saw, you can share it with others if you think that they would enjoy it and can learn from it. Do subscribe to the Dev Life and hit that little bell notification icon so that you can get updates when I release new videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.